In today's video, I want to talk about the one DVD in my collection that I would never part with. It's a film that means a lot to me. I'm a heart on my sleeve type of guy. So when I see anything, it always strikes home to me one way or the other. And the film that I want to talk about is one that I didn't see when it first came out. It came out in 1989. I probably saw it in the late 90s. There was a reason that I didn't watch it at first, and the reason for it was about baseball, a sport that I know pretty much nothing about. It's an American sport. I'm British. My sport isn't baseball, so I never watched it. I expect you've probably guessed what the film is. It's this, Field of Dreams. This film is a very special film to me, but it's also bittersweet. If you know about this film, you know it's about the link between a father and a son. And it's the same for me too. I watched this film for the first time, not thinking anything about that. I just thought, it's a sports film, it'll be okay, I'll watch it. I saw that Kevin Costner was in it, I saw that Burt Lancaster was in it, I just thought, it's got to be good, hasn't it? And so I put this film on. Little did I know how much this film was going to affect me. It started off fine. I could see it was about a relationship between a father and a son from the opening 5 minutes when he was talking through it at the beginning. But it got about 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the film, and the first part of the film that got to me was there's a conversation between Ray Kinsella and his wife Annie. He's standing on some stairs, she's standing at the bottom, and they're talking to each other. And he's saying, I'm 36, I've got a mortgage, I've got a wife, a child, and I'm afraid I'm turning into my father. And when he said that, I thought to myself, because I had feelings like that myself, not at 36, but when I was much younger. Anyway, Annie says to him, what's this got to do with your father? And then he goes into this long speech about his dad and about he never forgot him for being old, and he was sure that he had dreams, but he never did anything about it, and all that kind of thing. And it reminded me of a time when I was about 15. Now, if you don't know my background, my dad owned an amusement arcade on a holiday camp down in Somerset. And we used to open it in the morning about 9 o'clock, and it would stay open till 11, 11:30 every day. And if I wasn't at school, I was working. That was the way it was. And I would be in the arcade every day watching all the people go past, go into the beach and all that sort of thing, and wishing that I could be one of them and wishing that I wasn't there. And I can remember having a row with my dad. I was about 15, thought I knew it all like you do. And he said something to me about doing this and doing that. And I'm sick of this. I'm never going to treat my kids the way you treated us. And he went, what do you mean? And I went to him, never allowed to do anything. I've always got to be stuck here. I'm always working. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I'm even up at 7 o'clock doing this and doing that. And we had this conversation. And I went to you, I'll tell you this. I'm never going to do this to my kids. I'll never make them do this. My kids are going to have a much freer life than I've had. And that was this conversation. It did at the time lead to us not talking for a few days. And when he was talking about that, when he was talking about his dad, it brought that back home to me. I can remember it just like it was yesterday. I thought to myself, oh, there's something more to this film than I thought there was going to be. A little bit later on, he meets Dr. Archibald Moonlight Graham, and he's walking with him back to his office. And Burt Lancaster, who plays Archibald Graham, says something that struck me like an hammer. He went, we just don't recognise the most significant parts in our life while they're happening. He said, back then I thought there'll be other days or something like that, and I didn't realise that was the only day. And it struck me all these years after my dad had passed away, how significant it was that I was able to work with my dad every day, how important it turned out in my life, the lessons that I learned from my dad, the things that he taught me without actually teaching me. He taught me about resilience. He taught me about working and the need for work and putting in long hours to get the things that you wanted out of life. I didn't realise it at the time, but it was only when my dad had died that I kind of looked back on it and started to see those lessons that he passed on to me as a child and as I was growing up. And that was a significant moment in the film for me, and I can remember being choked when he was saying it. And then, of course, we come to that final part of the film where Kevin says, Dad, do you want to play catch? And they walk out onto the baseball field. Well, that never happened with me. My dad wasn't a sport lover at all. And so we never did that. But what happened was when I got married and went travelling on fairgrounds, my dad would come over, have a ride over to see me. And if I was taking the loads away to go to the next fair, he'd jump in the lorry with me and he'd come with me for the ride. And he'd talk to me about the places that they used to open when he was young and all that sort of stuff. I also at one stage bought a children's little roundabout with chairs on it. You know what I mean? They swing out as it goes round. And I'd bought it and it was a wreck when I bought it, and I was going to redo it all up and start from the beginning. And when I got it, my dad used to come over and he'd get the wood and he'd cut the wood out for my seats on this ride, and he'd put them all in and fitted them on the 18 seats on the ride. Then he painted all the irons and all that sort of stuff. And he would come over. I lived about 18 miles away from my dad, and he'd jump in the car and he'd come over each day to help me refurbish this ride and get it all going again. And it made me realise that that playing the ball scene was my dad and me working on this ride. And what I realised was that although I always felt me and my dad had a working relationship, we weren't a friends kind of thing. We had this working relationship all through my life. But what I realised when I saw this film, that them throwing ball was me and my dad working on this ride. Him coming to help me when I got married, him helping me get this ride going again, was his way of showing his love for me. I get choked when I think about it. I get choked when I watch the film. And those three parts of the film just hit me so hard. I know this film hits a lot of men for their relationship with their dads, and it does exactly the same with me. This film is something special. It's unlike any other film that I own in my collection. It's one that just gets me every time. It's a very emotional film. It's a brilliant film. And I watch it every year and I get choked every time I see it. There's not been a time when I haven't. Even talking about it, I feel like that. And it's for those reasons why this one DVD that I have, I'm never going to part with. This will stay till the day it's my turn to go. It's such an important film. It's magical. It moves me every single time like no other film does. And that's why this is that DVD. It's a really good film. If you've never seen it, I hope I haven't spoiled it for you, but go and watch it because it's well worth it. And if you look up there, I'm going to put a playlist of films that I've watched in the last few months. And maybe in there, you'll find a film that you like as much as I like this. I'll see you next time.